All right. All right. In the top right here from no team, unfortunately, right now. But hopefully that changes soon. This is Jieshi.
And over here from Good Game Gaming in the blue, this is Cyan.
Goodest of gamers. Just like his boy Nice, reigning Taiwanese champion, who crowned last Sunday actually. Not that long ago, a few days ago.
Yeah.
What day is it?
That's true. I think it's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday.
It's Thursday,
right?
All right. Yeah, so 4 days ago. Cool.
Yeah. I had to do some quick maths there.
Yeah, no, obviously
like, wait, fact check.
the streamer life, you just don't know what day it is. You have to, you know, post flags around the place to know what day of the week it is, because every day's basically the same. You're at home, you work from home, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I work from home at the moment as well, and
that's right. And as most of the world knows, a lot of us streamers make minimum wage.
Yeah, lucky you
now
guys.
They all know that. Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Love it when that stuff becomes public.
Yeah,
definitely
super
not
great. You know, it's like
private information.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like if someone hacked your phone, downloads a bunch of your pictures, and it's not like you have anything terrible as pictures. You just got a picture of your wife having dinner, a picture of your dog, a picture of your your family at a getaway dinner, and they download these pictures and they put them on the internet. You know, is it devastatingly bad? Is it terrible? No, but also it's none of their friggin' business.
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, a little weird, but oh well. Anyway, it's a funny thing that happened this week. Did not expect, for sure. Didn't call that one.
The internet is wild, man.
Yeah, isn't it? And once again, like, both players showing signs, like, this is the exact same build order from the first time they placed each other on this map as well. 2 Stalkers. If we got up to 4 Stalkers, it is actually the same build order. Once again, looking to expand. There is a pylon from Cyan in the wall just to see what comes out of these gateways. Very, very normal PvP strat. And actually, Jieshi going for the Nexus block. So, yeah, cool. Small differences there on both sides.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so we will see a little bit of a difference here as we're seeing the Adept follow-up for Jieshi instead of just straight up 4 Stalkers. And you know, with that pylon that he popped down in the natural there, he gets an indication of what Cyan's first units are going to be. So he can prepare just fine to deflect any harassment should Cyan march across the map. But as it stands, you know, he's got these mobile Adepts. Maybe he'll try and sneak in and get some scouting done with that. Looks like he's happy to keep those Stalkers at home, though.
Yeah, and there is actually a difference between the 2 players in this game, Cyan going to Stargate. So it isn't going to be a complete, you know, replay of their first game on this map in their first series. Pleased to see that. If Stargate is detected, the normal follow-up step is to just go into Twilight Council. If Jieshi knows 100% that it's Stargate, but he is going to drop the Twilight anyway, regardless of whether he does know. Good scoop with those sentries, confirms a Stalker kill there. Is going to lose one of his own, though. The shield battery has been drained.
This is actually a little bit sticky for Jieshi because there's a couple of Stalkers, but sentries with their tickling power do ward that off for the moment, and the Adepts on this side of the map are trying to tackle a single Stalker. It does take him approximately infinity years to get through that though, and the shield battery gets up.
Indeed. Oh, that might be another dead Stalker there. Yep, tickle beams, down it goes. Well done. And the Oracle up at the main base is having a bit of a hard time of it, but you can see the Pulsar beam actually does a little bit more damage than what the shield battery heals. So until the shield battery gets overcharged, the Oracle is starting to do damage. It only kills 1 probe though, and Jieshi's wiped the floor with the ground army of Cyan. It's really well done.
Yeah. Cool move from Cyan too, to try and be distracting at the front and hope that the Oracle can get in and do the damage. But Jieshi looking pretty bulletproof so far, and he's actually going to come in for this counterattack. The Oracle, of course, sees it, takes a bit of damage from those sentries, but may look to zap him down, does get one of them, but gets taken out. And there's Adepts in the main, and there's a whole bunch of Stalker sentry in the natural. Cyan only has 4 Stalkers.
Yeah. He's got the 4 Stalkers, he's got the Oracle to assist, but the Oracle can help with the Adepts a little bit more. Not so much with the Stalkers. Getting rid of this pylon, the Natural actually could be quite nice as well. I mean, stop warp-ins on low ground, force him up to the main base. 7 probe kills as well. Like, if Jieshi just bounces right now, he's got a really good lead, as long as he doesn't lose everything.
Cyan's going to try and chase a little bit here. It looks like the Oracle got taken out again, so Jieshi looking quite good here. And look at that worker lead that he has at this point. He also has slightly more army. Not the hugest deal, but when it's early on and you're trying to have these little skirmishes, it does count for something to just have that 1 or 2 extra Stalkers. And Cyan might actually get completely sandwiched here if he's not careful.
These Stalkers are about to get Blink as well, which is very dangerous for Cyan. They can just intercept and actually completely punish. And Cyan cannot escape once Blink is done. And I 100% believe that Jieshi's going to aggressively Blink here in 2 seconds. But no, he actually disengages. Unfortunate.
He might just be powering up for the next thing. Maynard, he's got the Warp Prism on the way now that Blink's finished, and 2 more gates coming into the mix as well. And Cyan's going to have a little poke out here, but Jieshi's getting a 3rd base up. Cyan doesn't really have one in sight just yet. He doesn't have the blink, so he's quite behind. And with Jieshi looking forward to getting that forge, yeah,
it is. Yeah.
It's a little bit too much.
That was kind of like, obviously the game ended with a whimper instead of a bang, but it was death by 1,000 cuts. Like, Cyan was just bleeding more and more resources and finding less and less value out of what he was putting into, you know, the trades. And StarCraft's all about having the, you know, spending resources on these units and trading with them. And Cyan didn't do a very good job of it, unfortunately, in Game 1. So, Game 1 Jieshi. Yeah.
Really nicely done. Looked really strong defensively. I mean, Cyan's Oracle's got what? 1 sentry, 2 probes. That's it. and he got attacked the rest of the time. So, bit rough. But Jieshi, man, that was a pretty clean win from him. Like, Cyan just could not find an angle.
Yeah, could not. And it's unfortunate. You know, I do think that their first game was better when they first faced off on Beckett. It was a lot more closely matched, a bit of fireworks, it was disruptors, there was a lot more blinking happening, a bit more micro. They got to flex their PvP muscles. And that game, you know, Cyan just kind of, you know, went for a strategy and it failed abysmally into the sense that he got punished super hard for everything that he tried to throw at Jieshi. And once this probe damage was done and Jieshi just kind of left, I'm like, oh, if he kills these probes and just leaves, he's super far ahead. And he was, you know, he runs through the natural, he does a tour of the natural, he's like, oh, this is nice, cool, probes, let's get rid of that pylon so nothing can chase me. And then once Blink is done, like, Cyan just doesn't have a hope in hell of winning an engagement unless he has, like, you know, 4 or 5 more Stalkers. And he's, like, forced him into a corner or something like that, which unfortunately wasn't the case.
Yeah. Not much he could have done. I mean, technically, yes, he could have turtled and tried to drag that out. But, I mean, come on. You don't have Blink. You don't have upgrades. You don't have a 3rd. You really have nothing going for you. And sometimes you can claw it back, but usually that's when you've already got disruptors out or some equally dangerous tech. So, yeah, better to call it quits there, and we'll hop into Game 2 momentarily and see if Cyan can bring it back. I hope he does. I mean, as much as we don't want to go to bed super late, Maynard, we also don't want to speedrun it and be done in 5 minutes.
Well, Zeph, guess what? We are going to speedrun it. No ad break. We're going straight to Game 2.
Crazy. Extremely wild. We're out of control.
We are powering through this StarCraft 2 broadcast. I tell you what.
True.
I'm keen.
Yeah. Keen as, some might say.
Keen as, mate. Heaps keen, as you might say.
Yeah. I didn't realize that not everyone said that, by the way.
Heaps.
Yeah, like... It's an Aussie thing, right? Like,
it is an Aussie
thing. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think... I can't think of a single, like, English-speaking country that says heaps. I think it's just us.
Yeah.
In the bottom right here, currently teamless, but he's up 1-0. So who's the real winner now, huh? This is Jieshi.
And again, from Good Game Gaming, this is our blue Protoss, Cyan. That's That's right. I was gonna say, I swear Jieshi was on a team, formerly of Lao Power, Team Lao Power. I think he was actually on that for a decent amount of time, but looking for a new home now. So hopefully he finds something that suits him well.
Well, probe getting into the scout. It's the only game PvP, and you really cannot stop this probe. And I've talked about it multiple times in PvP, but it's interesting to bring up right now, just in case people are new to the broadcast, or you don't main Protoss and you don't play PvP much at all. This is like the part of the game that you can't avoid is being scouted by the probe, and especially if it's going to the expand side of things, you can't stop being scouted by the hallucinated Phoenix, which is almost always going to be happening if you're expanding. You'll get those sentries as the next follow-up, right, from your first gateway units. But what you can do is feed misinformation by getting the extra pylon to stop your supply block out there on the map somewhere, which kind of can be a real proxy or a fake proxy, and that's when you start to try and mind game the scouting probe, because again, you can't stop this probe from getting in your base, but what you can do is control what it sees.
Yeah, you force them to ask that question of, all right, well, where is that pylon? Why? They count the probes when they do those circles behind the mineral line to check that there are 15, 16 of them on the mineral line, because if one's missing, you can definitely notice it doesn't add up. So it gives them a bit of an early tell and something that they have to go hunt around on the map for. So a bit of a block here from Jieshi straight in the ramp there. But yeah, okay, so Jieshi's actually going to opt for the Stargate this time round. And hopefully he has a little bit more luck than Cyan did in the last match.
Yeah. Yeah, the Stargate, I really love the Stargate, and I think it's actually like the most well-rounded and safest thing you can do in pretty much any matchup. PvT, open Stargate, it's safe. PvZ, Stargate, it's fantastic. You can be aggressive, you can be defensive, you can scout with it. And same deal in PvP. I think it's a very, very good thing to do, but it's one of those things that I think that is pretty strong against super early game. Like if someone's trying to rush Robo against you and you can get that Void Ray out, you're laughing. You're fighting that shield battery, you're gonna do great. And if the game goes into the later stages, you can use it for scouting and utility as well, with Oracle tags and whatnot, and sometimes harassment. I think in the mid game it's not as powerful though, because it's all about usually gateway armies and that sort of thing. You're rarely going to have like 3 or 4 oracles flying around doing weird things in PvP. It's going to be about getting your Twilight Council and your Forge up. But yeah, my point is I like it a lot. Good choice.
Stamp of approval. Jieshi just sort of looking around here, knows that Cyan's threatening. He's going to come in with these couple of adepts.
Oh no, Cyan being a naughty boy, not looking at the minimap.
Yeah, maybe concentrating on his own units a little bit too much, and there are going to be some kills racked up here for Jieshi. Again, a pretty good start for him. 5 kills on that worker line. And Cyan wants to get some revenge. He's going to shade in here with 4 adepts. What does Jieshi have to defend? Just an Oracle? A couple of other adepts in here as well with the battery, but all in all, he gets just about the same amount.
Yeah, pretty much a little bit of a trade on both sides, and as you can see, like the worker count's quite similar, army supply is quite similar. Jieshi's going towards Twilight Council right now, and a Robo. Cyan, what is his tech? Okay, he's got a Robo himself, I'm assuming Twilight Council as well. Haven't seen a Twilight Council. Yeah, he does have it right there next to the Robo, but I haven't seen a Twilight Council upgrade from him just yet. Where to blink at,
Keep an eye on that gas count and see where he ends up investing it. At the moment, he's just chilling, bruh.
Yeah, just Sunday chilling. Don't even add him. Oh, a little bit of a hitch there. If you guys are seeing a little bit of a lag, very often it's going to be the connection between our observer and Chinese server. They're playing on the Chinese client. But don't worry for the players. They will always pause if they feel it. They do it very consistently if they feel the lag. They don't want to affect their games. So probe damage does come down. The Oracles swing in there for Jieshi and do hit the natural, while the Adepts try and hit the mineral line as well. It does get cleaned up though. A good bit of damage from Jieshi for sure. It does take a slight lead. And he's also a little bit quicker on Blink, oddly enough. It felt like his Twilight Council was a fair bit later, but interesting that his Blink's further on.
I was trying to see what Cyan was actually putting his money into, because he could afford Blink, but sat on it for a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be a massive gap between those two upgrades finishing, but there is still going to be a window where if he can, Jieshi can take advantage of having Blink while Cyan doesn't. That's going to be pretty sick, but it's hard to know the exact timing that your opponent does or doesn't have it as well. So we'll see how we go. I mean, Jieshi's been getting these little bits of chip damage against his opponent, picking off workers here and there, and it has started to add up a little bit. I mean, Jieshi's been holding on to a lead for quite a bit, and he's been more or less in control of the map. He's had a bit more presence, so he's already starting to move out towards that third base and thinking about the next step in his tech tree.
Yeah, gonna get some more probe damage here. The shield battery not done in the main. Unfortunate for Cyan. Gonna bleed more workers. Jieshi exacerbating his economic lead here. 45 to the 38 probes right now for Jieshi. That's so much damage. Look at that.
Yeah, that gap is realistically being a little bit wider. It's just obviously he keeps up the probe production, he replaces them fairly quickly, but
Observer, this is a little unprofessional. Observer, can you shake or nod for if we have battle report on the Chinese client? Thank you. Just wanted to check, just in case, because you'll look at that. Not everyone knows that, you know, at the top is units lost and bottom is workers killed. Because just in case, I mean, no one reads the characters or doesn't know the characters. Just want to make sure you guys can see what's actually happening with the information being brought up. That's all. All good.
Fair point. I didn't consider that.
Yeah, it's
very inclusive of you.
Small thing. Yeah, all good, Sana. All good, Sana. You're doing a great job, mate. Big push here in the middle of the map from Cyan. Mortal Sentry Stalkers. Oh my, it's a pretty scary push, actually. Does have a bit more army, a bit more muscle in this army too.
He paused probe production a little bit ago to start just pumping sheer units. Now Jieshi, if he holds onto this third base, he'll be looking pretty sweet. This is one of those moments where an immortal really can make the difference in a battle. As we get later on, they do sort of taper off a little bit, but as it stands, we do have an immortal coming out here momentarily for Jieshi to join in.
Yeah, he's trying to get a bit of a concave. Force field's trying to stop him from doing that there from Jieshi. It's a little tug of war between the force fields being placed by both these players. And you see that Jieshi's trying to get more immortals down here, or an immortal down here. Just anything you can get the fire on, because Cyan is really pushing in that third nexus. He does not want to be, you know, evacuated from this location. He wants to continue to do damage. Big blink forward there. Amazing blink forward from Jieshi. A desperate one. I don't think it worked for him at all.
I don't think that was a good idea. His +1 is so close to finishing, but he jumped the gun on that. He went in way too deep, and he does have 4 shield batteries, but he should be fighting in them. When he blinked forward, he wasn't in range of those, and I think he just shot himself in the foot by doing that, getting a little bit impatient, trying to get onto Cyan before he gets too big here with all those extra weapons. That third base is now gone, and Jieshi also doesn't have a whole lot of units left. Cyan actually looking really good.
Yeah, Cyan looking fantastic here. Jieshi's blink forward being a bit of a miscall, or maybe desperate. It felt desperate when he blunk into that group of stalkers looking for that immortal target fire. And now he's like, you know, he's made this bed and he's got to lie in it. He's down a lot of army supply right now. 32 army supply in deficit. You know, the numbers have just changed as more warpins come in, but this is so much blue Protoss. Cyan looking real good here in this attack.
Yeah, we do have a shield battery here, a second one just finishing up, and 2 immortals on the front lines there as well, but they're in perfect position for Cyan to start targeting them down. He's got so much, and now he's the one doing the offensive blink, and Cyan looks to be making Jieshi tap out momentarily here and evening up the score. Absolute carnage there. GG.
Yeah. Well, we got ourselves a series, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to game 3, just like before. And I think that the turntables turn here, Zeph, because I believe it was Cyan got game 1 and Jieshi game 2, and then it swung around again. So we're having a kind of a reverse of that. And does that mean that Jieshi wins the series in the end? Because we know that Cyan actually won the 2 maps in a row to take down Jieshi after game 1.
Maybe. I still feel like Jieshi's looking a little bit more convincing today. He got so much harassment in against Cyan here. He got himself into a good position. I really think that engagement at the third should have been his. I don't think he needed to go deep like that. He almost had +1. He had another immortal coming, and he had 4 shield batteries. I mean, he kind of... I think he threw.
Yeah, yeah. This blink here, this is the moment, and you know, a perfect thing to bring back into this because it's such a huge moment in the game. Jieshi wanted these immortals so badly. He's like, I'm gonna blink in here and see what happens. And oh my god, it turns out having less stalkers and less immortals than my opponent in a mirror matchup means I'm not gonna trade as well. Yeah.
It's so close.
Yeah. Definitely an anti-timing for sure. I agree. Like by the time +1's done, he's lost most of his army and he's not really benefiting from that upgrade anymore. The damage is done at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You know, someone as good as Cyan is not gonna throw from this point, unless there was disruptors. I guess, you know, disruptors are a great comeback unit, DTs as well, but there was nothing like that for Jieshi.
Yeah, interesting that we have seen a bit of a departure from yesterday, though, from Cyan going for a 2-base option instead of trying to play the longer macro game against Jieshi. You know, there were some dicey moments for both of them yesterday in those moments, so maybe he's trying to get a more decisive, heavy hit against his opponent here. But that one certainly may not have worked out. I still think Jieshi had a really good chance there, but as it stands, we are at a 1-1 score.
Which means Game 3 is going to follow, as that is going to be the case when Game 2 ends. Game 3 around the corner. And this is going to be, was it Jagannatha, right? For the decider map?
Yeah.
Nice.
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 I'm trying to cast my mind back to what we saw on that one. I think that was another Stargate map.
Yeah, I think Cyan, okay, Zeph, here comes my big giant esports brain. I think Cyan proxied a starport that got scouted. Jieshi gunned it down, but Cyan made a second Stargate in his main base, so continued to make the Stargate units, which kind of surprised Jieshi. And he actually found a lot of Oracle damage. If I'm not mistaken, that's what went down in Jagannatha the last time they faced.
Yeah, they both definitely went Stargate. Your memory's better than mine. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, there's a bit of back and forth again. I think we did end up... I think that was the one where we didn't have both of them do Blink Disruptor. There was a bit of a different mix in the armies in the end. We had Jieshi really heavy on Immortals or something at one point.
No, that's right. Jieshi was very Immortal heavy. You're quite right. There were Disruptors in that game, and it was more like a... the Disruptors didn't really get big juicy Novas like they did in Game 1 and Game 2. It was more like the Disruptors created a zoning thing where it kind of it would hit the middle of the pack. It wouldn't kill the Immortals because they all had Hardened Shield, but it would well, I mean, it doesn't kill the Immortal anyway. If it doesn't have Hardened Shield, it has to get 2 shots in there anyway. But it's softened them up. It's triggered Hardened Shield, but it killed everything around the Immortals. You know, it would get rid of the Stalkers. It would soften up the Archons. And so the Disruptor still, I think, was a massive advantage for Cyan, certainly. Even though the Immortals are like insane in against Stalkers. I think it was like, from memory, this is going back again. I think that they were +3 attack as well for those Immortals, so they were hitting real hard. And I think Cyan actually had an upgrade deficit. I think he was on 2-1.
He was behind on it.
Yeah, he had like +2 attack, +1 armor, so his charge lots were a little bit better. And there weren't as many Archons to worry about thanks to his Disruptors. So yeah, that was a... and there was a Prism in the main that actually killed Jieshi.
It's all coming back to you now.
It's flowing into me. You know, there's the river of esports memories just flowing into me right now. Yeah. It was a Prism in the main base where he warped in like 15 or so charge lots and DTs and actually killed the main of Jieshi, which forced him to all in.
Nice.
I'm done talking about yesterday's games now. I'd like to start this game 3. You might be thinking, are the players in production just sitting here because this idiot on the left side of the screen won't shut up? No, we actually are just waiting for the game to start, and we're just doing the thing that we're paid to do, which is
be here in a sec. So Mayna's just connecting to the caller while we
that's right.
While we wait, downloading the battle report.
I can't find I need to get an adapter for the collar, actually. The collar keeps getting updated. There's new sockets. It's like iPhones. You know, they keep getting new. They're trying to upsell me. They're like, no, now you have to get new dreadlocks. I'm like, but I've had these things for 11 years. Do I really need to upgrade them? They've done me so well for so long. And they're like, we don't have anything compatible with them anymore.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're gonna have to like connect via Bluetooth or something.
Yeah, you need to get the Dreadlock 13. Then you can Bluetooth your hair into it, and you don't actually have to connect anymore.
Dude, imagine. I bet it's not far off. Hey, there's gonna be something like that in 20 years, and it's gonna be super normal. But it's a thing that we meme about here in the 2020s.
We've heard from production that we are very, very close to getting Game 3. And I'm going to share with you my greatest fear, and with Zeph, my greatest fear as well. I'm really afraid that in our kids generation, of course, assuming if you wanted to have kids, saying in another generation's time, I'm really afraid that when they are our age, movies are just going to be think tanked. They're going to basically like get surveys from people and find out what everyone is mostly okay with, and not take any risks anymore, and only do the one thing over and over and over again, because they're like, this one is the least abrasive for people. It's not like the best, it's not the worst, but it's good enough.
They apply machine learning.
Yeah, and then all video games become like that as well, and then everything is bland gray paste, and no one takes any risks ever. That's what I'm really afraid of. I would hate for that to happen in movies, and hate for that to happen in video games.
Yeah.
It's two like things that I'm very passionate about.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm genuinely worried. I think it's like things keep moving in that direction, man. Gotta get out there and take some risks, y'all. Push the art form. In the top right here, in the red. With the lovely game 2. Can he win game 3? This is Jieshi.
His opponent in the bottom left. He is a good game gamer, and he's known as Cyan.
Indeed. So again, like Proxy Stargate, it was a really good smorgasbord of strategy the last time they faced, which is a lot of different things being thrown at each other. And the Prism Disruptor, the Prism causing the all-in into the Disruptor defense was the one that stuck for Cyan.
True. We'll see what they open with here with the 2 gate openers that are coming in. Of course, we see the 2 gates because we've got a very flat natural. There is no ramp to pop yourself on top of there. So we always see the 2 gate expands on this one. And we have seen a bit of a mix. I mean, yesterday was very much about the Stalker, but already today, you know, we're seeing a bit of a mix-up for Adepts instead, seeing if we can get some probe damage in there on either side of the map. And so far, Jieshi has been the one to be able to capitalize on that harassment more so than Cyan, and I think that's really set him up well. We may see a repeat here, I feel like, with the way things have been going. Cyan hasn't really had a perfect early game.
Yeah. So far, so good. It's a mirrored build for both players, but you see small differences here as a Stalker and Sentry starts for Cyan. Looks like he wants to get a head start on the expansion, whereas Jieshi's going to opt for the somewhat safer and potentially more aggressive multiple Stalker opening. If you got the 4 Stalkers, it's one of those things where you might as well go across the map and see what you can get done. See if you can slow down the natural, pick off a unit or 2.
Yeah, absolutely worth a poke. And we'll see if he opts for Stargate again. I mean, it's not going to be a super fast Stargate or anything, obviously. He would have maybe already dropped that by now. You typically just go straight into gas if that's your... if that's the move. But see what they end up rolling with, as both of them managed to clear out the scouts there for the probes.
And the next is getting dropped down here. Obviously, with the Sentry, you are going to have earlier access to what's happening in your opponent's main to send in the Hallucinated Phoenix and have a gander and see what's up. Jieshi's got a bit of gas in the bag as well. Looks like he wants to get his own Sentries up next, and there we go. Sentry production beginning for Jieshi. This looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty normal macro opener for both players. Yeah.
This sort of ends up being an extension of that early game probe scouting that you were talking about before, where because you need 3 sentries to have like pretty much permanent hallucination available to you. So when they both have a whole bunch of sentries, it's just a whole lot of hallucinated phoenixes flying around the whole time. They get really good scouting information. Obviously, in Jieshi's case, having a couple of adepts, he gets that extra bit, just being able to play with the shades a little bit. So not a whole lot of secrets to be had in the early stages when they're both sort of playing that more defensive style.
Yeah. And we have the Twilight Council going now for both players as well, with a head start for Cyan, so they get an earlier ticket to Tier 2 town. Assuming straight in a blink, as is tradition. Some people like to go for the Resonating Glaives. There are definitely some Taiwanese Protosses that like to just spam Adepts and get Resonating Glaives and just like use them for a early to mid game focus game, because they really fall off in the late game, unfortunately, the Adept. And he does have a lot of them, so maybe that is going to be the choice. Nope, blink, never mind.
All right, and the earlier forge for Cyan here as well. Does the Phoenix get in? It should actually be able to get, yeah, makes it all the way to the Twilight there over in Jieshi's base. Ooh.
That's a lot of adepts. I'm gonna go for sentries here. That's the high value targets. 100 gas a pop. Lots of pro damage too. Not bad with these adepts. I mean, if most of them escape, I'd be pretty happy with that. Like, keep in mind, yeah, he's killed 4 pros, but also a couple sentries. That's 200 gas worth of damage. So, yeah. He loses about, was it 100? Yeah, 25 gas in adept. So yeah, and 100 gas worth of adepts.
Very nicely done. Hopefully he can get out of here, or Cyan will be evening up that score a little bit by taking those out. And Cyan, you know, well on his way to the +1 at this point, getting the Robo instead. So he really wants to make use of that earlier upgrade. Jieshi, on the other hand, looks like he's going for the extra gates first. Just slightly, like just slightly ahead of Cyan, but not as worried about the upgrade. So I wonder if we might see him try and expand him in a second.
Yeah, Jieshi is going to pull the trigger on that third Nexus there. You're quite right. Definitely has the backing to be able to keep that safe. Cyan a little bit later on the third, but he's powering up a little bit quicker. He's actually going to have a window where I think that he can actually, you know, basically do what Jieshi is doing here and get active with those stalkers. Maybe try and make something happen. On the other side of the map, you slow down the third Nexus. Ooh, gonna try and catch these stalkers at Jieshi. Jieshi doesn't have blink yet, Seth. Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh, indeed. He's actually going to lose all of these.
Oh, man, what a catch.
That's pretty sick. I mean, if I'm Cyan right now, I go poke at that third, honestly.
Oh, sure,
You're about to have the +1.
Blink.
You've got blink already, and you have the stalker advantage. Your opponent has to start warping some stuff in, and we see him getting an immortal here. Because Jieshi's kind of going like, I'm gonna need a little extra defense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. The first immortal is out, the second one is on the way. I'm with you. Like, after a fight like that, you absolutely should go across the map and try and get something done. That third Nexus, if it's got any static D there, like a shield battery or... okay, he's got a pylon, no shield battery. Oh, man, yeah. Cyan thinks, oh, no shield battery. That means it's time to feast. Goodbye, immortal. Big blink forward there. And with the probes being pulled as well, he didn't kill any of them, but he gets the immortal, loses a couple stalkers. And he lost 3 stalkers there. But look at those kills. Immortal, 2 sentries. That's good damage.
Because there's nothing to really stop the immortal from getting blunked on here. That's part of the problem with this immortal production. And again, it's going to get sniped, and he's targeting down the weak stalkers. Obviously, there's blink for Jieshi as well at this point, but the stalker numbers are still in Cyan's favor.
Yeah, shield battery's here as well, so he has the ability to overcharge that if things get dire, but things are dire now, Zeph. This does not look good at all for Jieshi. He's down 10 army supply right now. Cyan's got that prism. If Jieshi can push Cyan back far enough to pick off the prism, maybe he can survive. Needs another immortal to come down here. It is coming down. Blink is about to get a pull down for Cyan. Does he go for the immortal before he gets in range of shield battery? No, he does not. Triggers hardened shield, but doesn't you know, stop the immortal from getting down to that shield battery in range. I think maybe if he was like a little bit more YOLO in the blink, like if this was patience would have blunked on that immortal as it was coming down the natural. Okay, never mind. He just talked the fight anyway. Shield battery be damned.
Beautifully timed to wait for the overcharge to finish there, and then he's just going to mop up after taking out that immortal. There's just so much more stalker power here from Cyan. Even with the shield batteries, that's not going to be enough to save Jieshi here. He's pulling the probes, and we always know that that's a desperation move, and he isn't even producing anything here. One stalker at a time, just not going to cut it.
Yeah, Jieshi is super dead, but he's just trying to hold on and hope for a miracle, because this is his tournament life on the line. He has to try again in 2022, because this is his tournament season done for 2021. Winter is it. That's his last chance to try and qualify for, you know, seeding in the season finals for China. And it's such a long road. It's just, you know, you got to go to groups, and then you got to start getting the best of 5 territory and beat monsters like, you know, Cyan, XY. It's just not going to, and time. It just doesn't get easier.